Hi, welcome to Grubb For Thought. We have a very, very special guest with us today. Welcome, Sara Russ. Hi.
Thank you.
So
Hello.
wonderful to have you here. And those of you who are already familiar with Grubbable, if you know the name Russ, you probably might have already guessed that Sara is the better half of the CEO and founder of Grubbable, Eric Russ. So yay, we have one half of the Russ family with us today.
Thank you.
We're so excited about this one because we're talking about such amazing things today. And Mary and I have been wanting to do this for a very long time.
Yeah.
Personally, we have so many questions for you. One of the main things is we just don't know how you do it all. I think a lot of people out there will be just absolutely amazed with how you straddle everything. You do all things local and sustainable and natural. You're actually brand Grubbable through and through, basically. I have seen you make your own yogurt. I've seen you ferment things and make your own, was it kombucha that I tasted the other day?
Kombucha.
Yeah, you are an urban gardener. You grow things straight in your backyard. You actually make your own all natural health and beauty products. And you're a mother of 5 absolutely beautiful kids. And you homeschool them. It's like doing 10,000 things in one day. I think 24 hours is not enough for what you do. So we are so excited. Mary and I were trying to see where to start and what we should talk about today because there's just so much. The sky's the limit with you. But yeah, I just want to first get started with, what made you adopt this lifestyle of trying to do everything local and natural. Like, I know you do natural remedies, when someone falls sick, when your kids fall sick, I know you try to keep things as natural as possible, come up with home remedies. So you take it really, really seriously. So what led you to adopt this lifestyle? Were you always like this, or was there something that made you change?
Yeah, definitely I was not always like this. I was raised in a really traditional American home where there was antibiotics for every illness and, my mom cooked healthy, but also wasn't afraid of some, but processed foods were just kind of the norm in the 80s and 90s growing up.
Right.
So, so I was raised very average, I would say, American. But just a couple things, mostly having kids was a big impetus for change. And I think right around the time I had our twins, who are now 10, a friend from high school started, I think was kind of getting into more natural and started talking about doing some things a little different, like cooking, even something simple like cooking a whole chicken, because growing up in the 80s and 90s, like people cooked chicken breasts and that's all they did. You eat chicken breasts for the most part. And I had never even thought of cooking a whole chicken, but just started thinking about making the use of everything that we have, making use of the whole chicken, not just kind of adopting the way we eat to just our preferences, and not being good stewards. I just really love the concepts of stewardship and thinking through wow, this whole old generations use the whole thing and got not lots of nutrients from the whole thing, from the broth to the fat to the meat, of course. So I just fell in love with that thinking, and I just thought, wow, and I started reading books like some of the thoughts by Weston A. Price and Nourishing Traditions as a cookbook that I don't follow to a T, but I just kind of like the thoughts that cultures that eat their traditional foods or eat foods that have been eaten for hundreds of years generally are way healthier than cultures that are eating processed foods. So that's kind of the basis of the thinking that I thought, man, that just makes a lot of sense if we're eating things that have been eaten for a while, and if we're eating things that aren't made in factories, then generally we're better off. So that was kind of the theory that I got behind. But but obviously that takes a lot of time. If you're raised one way, we've lost so many skills of yogurt making, sewing, gardening. The new generations aren't as much into. So I've just had to slowly build them back in because I didn't have them, So like I don't know, I think early on I thought, okay, let me try yogurt making because like all these probiotics are supposed to be good for us, and that one's fairly simple, but okay, let me attack this thing, and then you kind of get that under your belt, and then you maybe, and I used to think to myself, oh my goodness, like I would see people making sourdough bread or fermenting things, and and I was just overwhelmed, like I'll never get there. But then I would, maybe in 6 more months, I would have a little bit more energy, and I would think, okay, maybe I will try this next thing, And so just slowly would add a little something else, So, and then maybe 6 months later, or maybe take even a break, but just kind of adding another skill to my tool belt has been my thought, so that we can kind of try to eliminate processed foods as much as we can. So, yes, it's kind of been a journey that mostly began with having kids, and a good friend from high school kind of starting to give me ideas that I hadn't thought about.
Wow. Oh my God, just listening to you is so inspiring. It's like so much tenacity is required to go after one skill after another. And at this point, you can basically do it all, from your own beauty products to you're a great cook. And it's just amazing. I mean, I feel like I need to start learning a few things,
I know.
It's just amazing. And this, you started after having kids, which is even more challenging. Oh my God, there's so much. Okay, so at what point did you decide that you would like to start gardening and grow your own stuff? And was it easy getting into it? Like, is it easy getting into urban and community gardening, when you live in a city?
Yeah. Well, we live in Detroit, which has this phenomenal program called the Urban Garden Resource Program, which is just phenomenal. And it just is encouraging an urban gardening movement in Detroit. So in Detroit particularly, it is easy because there's this phenomenal program where you pay $10 and get all these seeds and instructions and plants to get going. So, so Detroit makes it really easy. It's just, I feel super blessed that I get to kind of just follow their lead, So about 5 or 6 years ago, I thought, man, I want to try that. And my kids have just loved seeing things grow. Like my kids will literally run in when the things sprout, like, Mom, the carrots are sprouting, So it's just so fun seeing them attached to that learning process and appreciate it and even just have the experience of tasting a homegrown carrot versus a store-bought, because they are pretty different. Yeah. So that's been so fun, watching the kids learn that, and also just appreciate, I just love the thought too of nutrients being like more getting foods being more nutrient dense the closer you eat them to harvest than 2 weeks, 3 weeks later after they've been harvested and shipped across the world. So I'm like, wow, how cool is that we can pick our Swiss chard and come cook it for dinner. Yeah. So it has been fairly easy in the sense that there's this great program available to us in Detroit. However, I would say that even though it's given me this kind of broad base of kale and Swiss chard and tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and such, even though it helps me, either gives me these plants or these seeds, I would say to anybody out there just to, buy it, think about what you like, think about 3 things you like, and plant and take a 4x8 garden bed or a patch of grass, whatever, land, and then say, man, I love cucumbers. Let's try cucumbers this summer, and let's try it. And kale and Swiss chard are just so easy. They're you almost do nothing to them, other than plant them and thin them. So I really like what plants that give me my bang for my buck, So I haven't done, there's plenty of plants I haven't done super well at, but it's kind of fun every year to learn a little bit more. I would no way call myself an expert gardener, but I feel like we're adding just building blocks to it. That didn't work so good when I planted the tall plants behind the, or I planted some plants behind the tomato plants and they didn't get sun. So, note to self, put the other plants in front next year, So I would say I still have so much to grow in, but it's been fun just, again, kind of building blocks okay, let's try this, and watching the kids have joy. And I feel like we have gotten a good harvest. And seeds are so cheap that it's kind of worth it to just, even if you have to buy them at full price, it's still very much worth the experiment, you know, and worth the opportunity to see your family enjoy good food. So
Wow.
That is so
Wonderful. And the no give up attitude is just amazing, that it didn't work this year, let's try it differently. So you're trying to do so many things differently. I know we live in a cold climate, so do you try and keep things seasonal, like so that you're like constantly rotating between seasons and get stuff that grows best at a particular time?
Yeah, so far I'm just a spring to early fall gardener. I haven't really learned and attacked seasonal gardening and really extending my seasons as I would like to. But yeah, but from a purchasing perspective, I try to do that as much as possible. I go to the farmer's market and try to get local sweet potatoes and apples and things that can extend quite far into the year. So yeah, we get our eggs from the farmer's market, and yeah, we try to get our beef. Like a couple years ago, a friend connected me with a farmer that allows us to get grass-fed beef. So we just pick that up once a year, and then it's in the freezer. And he also sells chickens a lot, so we'll get whole chickens from him. And then just try to think consciously about like, yeah, what do I know has been shipped? Oh wow, if I'm having, you know, grapes available to me at this time of year, they're probably from super far away and probably not the healthiest. So yeah, nor are they, you know, there's a lot of food miles there with transportation. So trying as much as we can to buy, we buy apples, you know, through the fall and into the winter. And then, so yeah, just trying to be conscious of that. We don't do it perfectly, but price is a big driving factor as well, because, you know, strawberries in the winter are just really expensive. So we try to stick to what's more affordable, which is usually what's more local. So, and then shopping at or the farmer's market and filling in with what we can't get there at the grocery store.
Wow. Yeah. And if you say you're not doing it perfectly, then the rest of us, we are not really sure whether we are doing it right at all. So, so what are your favorite things to grow? Which is the easiest? I know you said kale and Swiss chard are the easiest, but what else grows really well?
Yeah, kale and Swiss chard, I can't say enough good things about them. They grow, like bugs usually don't get them too much, or they're fairly easy to get off if they do. So yeah, kale and Swiss chard are amazing. Beets have grown pretty well for us as well. And let's see, I think tomatoes actually, if you plant them in the right place and you don't crowd them too much, generally tomatoes have done well for us. And we've gotten like quite a harvest of tomatoes. Turnips we just did once, but those grew well for us.
Wow.
Carrots did grow well, but then we had pheasants, I think, who ate all of our carrots last year. So that was a bummer. I'm looking at my garden beds now, trying to think about it. I don't think I've been great at cucumbers. Jalapeno peppers have grown really well. Scallions, and those are fun because those come back every year, or at least for a couple years. Yeah, and some spices. That's been fun too, like my rosemary. Rosemary? I'm blanking now. Some herb came back that I wasn't expecting to come back. So I think it was rosemary. Yeah.
And do you do all of the gardening natural too?
Yeah. So we've, you know, just committed to that ideal that we want to keep it natural, you know, and keep it the least toxins in our food as possible. So so we started compost a couple years ago, and so still learning that a little bit, but trying to rotate it a little bit, but not too much so that the organisms can, you know, digest and settle in and stuff. So I tried to like make sure I put smaller chunks in. I started lazy composting, putting huge chunks in, which takes like much longer to compost. So we've advanced in our composting a little bit, and then Eric built me a grate to grate it through to get the smaller chunks out. So I'm excited. I think this year and last year, I think we started it, but we finally got to actually use our compost. It was in a good spot. So again, just kind of like sometimes we start super lazy, but we try to like refine it bit by bit as we have energy and capacity. So we compost, or if I had to buy compost as well. And and there's just so many solutions out there. And sometimes to be honest, I get totally lazy. I'm like, oh my goodness, aphids have taken over the kale. I'm like, forget it. I don't have the energy. But sometimes my friend is like, yeah, I just did dish soap and a little hot pepper or something, and mixed with some water in a squirt bottle. And I'm like, oh, okay, I could do that, And she goes and squirts her pail. So yeah, something to that effect. So I'm like, okay, I could do that. And so I just take bit by bit again, and try to keep it natural with the remedies, and also try to give like the land some rest too, because I know that like even in the Bible it would talk about like every 7th year giving the land rest, and how much that like allows the nutrients to repopulate in the soil. And also garden rotation, which I'm no expert in, but learning that, okay, you can't plant the same thing in the same spot, so I try to rotate so that they're accessing different nutrients. So yeah.
As I hear you speak, all I can say is you're doing everything that we talk about in sustainable agriculture on a small scale in your backyard, and you're doing it so well. It's unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
I know you said, and we at Grubbable, we always preach this, and we always tell everyone that eating local is just high in nutrition, and there's so many benefits. It's better on the earth, it's better on the environment, on the truck traffic is lesser, and the food is less adulterated. But have you found any other difference in terms of like the food texture or the quality of the produce in general, if it's grown in your own backyard? Like, I know a lot of things play into factor, like the soil, the climate, but have you seen anything else? Like, do you find your carrots to be sweeter, as an example maybe?
Carrots are a fabulous example. I mean, the coloring is different, they're sweeter, they're a little bit more moist in a good way. They just have like extra moisture in them, which is just fabulous. And the kids love the carrots. That's probably their favorite thing. So that I think there is a great texture difference, or a great texture, and sometimes a richness to flavor difference. Sometimes things aren't as beautiful, like then the ones you're going to get at the grocery store, you might have a bumpy tomato, but I think that's wonderful. I'm like, wow, That's just natural to have a bumpy tomato, or we just planted peach trees, so it'll take like a year or two more for the harvest, but I've heard that, if you're not spraying and using a lot of artificial things, your peaches probably aren't going to look quite as pretty as the ones in the store. But I think that's like a cool thing. So I think it just depends on where your values are. If I value that, wow, that's, not all peach looks perfect, and I value that. So, and I think the flavor is going to be I'm excited to taste the peaches. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so, I'm excited too. Oh my God. First of all, your home and your garden is so beautiful on its own. And then you have these beautiful tall cotton trees. And then now there's a peach tree, and it's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah. We got some raspberry plants. Again, a buddy had raspberry plants, and they multiply. So he gave us some of the ones that were getting out of control in his backyard. So we hopefully we'll have a good raspberry harvest this year. And and we also planted a plum tree. So I'm excited. We were slow on getting going on fruits, but we're hopeful that we can start the fruit harvesting soon. So.
And you can become a jam maker or something,
right? I know. I haven't done that
yet. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Knowing you, I think you'll definitely try and do that, and, train yourself into making jam if you don't know it already. Okay, so I have to ask, you're doing so many things. You've trained yourself constantly over the past few years, learned so many skills. How do you do it? How do you manage? Like, what do you do to, I want to know, how do you schedule your day? Like, you have 5 kids, you run this beautiful family, you teach them, school them, you cook your own meals, you garden, you make your own supplies, and you help us with Grubbable. So tell me what time does your day begin? Like, how do you schedule your day? I'd like to know, as a mom to actually know that I need to be better with my time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boy, so you're speaking to a very not type A person. Eric is the type A person of the family, and I am the free-spirited, and which probably helps me take on new things. But it has the downside that I'm not this like, okay, Mondays I make yogurt and Fridays I make bread. And, you know, I'm not that person at all. I've tried to be, and every couple months I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll write out the schedule, but I don't usually stick to it. So, yeah, so if you think you have to be type A, you totally don't.
That's good.
Yeah, so, yeah, good. So boy, I mean, meal planning totally does help. You know, most of these things I feel like you do like lotion. I make our own lotion, but that lasts super long. So I make it once a year, and then I put it in tubs, and we have it for the whole year. So I just mix basically shea butter, coconut oil, and some almond oil and olive oil. Anyway, mix it with the mixer, my kitchen mixer, you know, and I do that once a year. So like our beef, you know, I pick that up once a year. So it's not like these horrible things, because in fact, I struggle with things that are like, wow, I've got to do that daily. I was making water kefir and dairy kefir for a while, but those are like dairy, you know, those were daily tasks. So I was like, okay, I think that's a little much for me, because I just felt exhausted. So you can't do everything. That's probably a good thing for everybody to say to themselves. And so yeah, so so what do I do? I don't know. I mean, meal planning is obviously a huge help, you know, and just kind of starting, again, one thing at a time, thinking like, okay, I want to eliminate, you know, granola bars. My kids like eat a ton of, or I want to like fix our snack time, you know? So I have like a written out list on the inside of my cabinet when I'm like, the kids are like, I want something you know, they usually want something unhealthy, you know? And I'm like, no, like, so I open up the cabinet and I'm like, what did I write down? I've thought through this before, but I just can't remember, you know? So I don't know, we have apples and peanut butter, we have popcorn, you know, and I look at my list. And so most of it is like, okay, a little bit of thoughtfulness once in a while where you have a list, where you have a go-to, so you can start to attack snack time, you know, how can I turn to healthy snacks, you know, or what are some, you know, we totally splurged, and our kids did Halloween this year and have a candy bag, you know, but for the most part, but also we want to have like nice, not so sugary treats, you know, or not processed. So we do a lot of chocolate banana smoothies. So we'll just take like bananas that are really ripe and mix it with a little milk and ice and little peanut butter and cocoa powder. And then we have they love it. They think it's like a shake, you know? Yeah. So we just try to like, those are like, so we implement some of those things into our rhythm too, where it's good and it's not just always super boring, like celery and, you know, celery for snacks. So, yeah.
Wow. You make it sound easier than it is. I think that's just because you're gifted at doing a lot of things at once. You do so many things. You try to keep things healthy, local, and sustainable. Have you actually seen like very visual positive impact on your family and your kids? I know Eric has asthma. Like, have you seen that some of these things have helped him with his, with his condition, or, with the kids in general?
Yeah, to be honest, we're still trying to figure out his asthma, especially that we live in a yard that has 7 cottonwoods, which has not helped his allergies and asthma. And like climate is changing, and I don't think we're that far. We're only a handful of miles from the incinerator, so those things probably aren't helping.
Yeah.
But so we're still working on towards his asthma, and that's always kind of on my mind, is like, what foods would? So actually we're trying to like eliminate gluten, just to see. He eliminated dairy before, and just kind of adjusting to see if there's internal things that will make an external difference. So yeah, I mean, I think a couple years ago, I think his cholesterol was a little bit higher when we first started, and I think now it's been like we even kind of come back from the doctor sometimes when we get our blood work done, like, oh, I had really good cholesterol. We'll compare numbers and stuff. So we've had like really good numbers. Is in that department. And I know that's not all food, and some of it's hereditary, but I'd like to think it helps, that eating well, eating good fats. Oh, that was something that we did, was just replace fats. We try not to use vegetable oils, and we try to use coconut oils, and now I've just switched to even avocado and coconut, mostly for our sauteing, because that has a higher smoking point than olive oil. We do use olive oil for dressings and stuff, but try to use it more raw, So those were easier fixes. But yeah, the kids do really well. And the doctors, fortunately, there wasn't super health issues to begin with. Yeah, I've just been able to report that, well, we generally have good health and haven't had, weight gain or, body mass index issues. And generally just like feel like our kids treasure like a fruit at the end of a meal is fun for them. They're like, instead of expecting always ice cream every day, most days they have fruit at the end of the meal, and that's the treat. So I think just training ourselves, and as well as training Eric and I, to think like, oh, I'm good. I don't always need the sweet, or I don't always need the unhealthy thing, or I don't quite feel satisfied. So just training. So I think just building those habits is huge for us, like where we like value the vegetable and value a well-balanced meal and feel full from that and satisfied in that, as opposed to in, a bunch of junk. So.
Yeah. This has been amazing. It's been a learning session. You really do walk the talk. So it's wonderful to hear how far you've taken this and how seriously you've taken this and how much that has benefited you guys. And, it's all about discipline, right? Ultimately, it just comes down to, like you said, instead of ice cream, and your kids actually treasure that. Like they're waiting for that fruit at the end of the meal. And that's just amazing to hear. I just don't know what else to say. I'm just like so spellbound. It's just so many things. It just tells us that we have to definitely get a lot better. I'd like to believe that I eat healthy always, but then when I hear all of this, I realize, there's so much that we can do. And we are all part of Grubbable, so we should be doing more of all of this. So this is just wonderful.
Yeah, and I just hate for people to feel overwhelmed though, because there's like, I buy our yogurt sometimes. I'm like, I'm too busy to make it, so I buy it. And I bread making was just kind of a lot for me. So now I decided I like Ezekiel bread, so I'll buy that bread. That was just something I couldn't work in. My toothpaste that I made, that I used to make like a coconut oil and baking soda and peppermint oil or some kind of concoction of toothpaste, I just didn't really like it. I don't really like switching coconut oil around that much. So so we went to a natural toothpaste. I was like, no, that one didn't work out too well. I would love to just see more and more people like take steps in it, and not just think, oh, I can't do all of it, so I can't do any of it, but to think, wow, like what are my values? Who does this help? Like, because I just love, I really do get excited about the theory of like, wow, this helps me, this helps our family, and this helps the community at large. Like I'm buying from like local people, it helps the ecosystem. There's just so many good things, like soil. Like I was listening to a composting seminar about a year ago, like a podcast that was just talking about how we depleted our soils, even by the fact that we rake our leaves and we bag our leaves. Like leaves are a natural nutrient source for our ground, and how deficient our ground is because we don't even just give it the natural leaf clutter that it deserves. So just thinking about, wow, like that's not how it's supposed to be, I just love that train of thought. And
you should be the spokesperson for Grubbable, because these are the kind of things that we're like writing blogs about, and we're like trying to educate people, and then there's you who's doing all of this, and whatever you just said, it's all what we are trying to do here with Grubbable, and you're just the perfect spokesperson for all things, because you have firsthand experience in everything that you're talking about. So it's just amazing. What do you have to say, Mary?
Oh, I was wondering if your kids like experimenting with you and making like the toothpaste or the yogurt or something like that. Do you do it together ever?
Yeah, definitely. Yogurt is like literally so quick. It's like a stir and you put it up, so not that one too much, but they've helped me make yogurt, or like I've made chapsticks, which is kind of messy. You take like a little dropper and drop it into the chapstick, and they like that. Mostly probably cooking. They'll help me cook. They love the cooking jobs, like especially if it's opposed to a cleaning job. So they'll always take the cooking. So so they love taking part in all of it. They love gardening. It's like, they love a lot of it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun for us, and I really hope they continue it. And even I've got 4 men, 4 boys. I mean,
I know.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I hope they marry women that are kind of conscious about this, you know, that take their food seriously, you know, assuming the wife does more of the cooking. But yeah, so they're so they love it. I think they like gardening a lot. They like thinking through and enjoying this process and seeing like how we add value to things. And I just love the thought also of thinking about the next generations too, because some people will, I feel like, make me sound a little bit sometimes obsessive or too much of a tree hugger or whatever. But I'm like, people kind of put people in the earth like as if they're opposed to each other, and they're just not. Like when they say like, oh, I care more about people than the earth, and I'm like, well, no, I care about people, but I'm doing that. Part of the way I do that is by caring about the earth, because if we're just a super selfish generation that eats up all our resources, the next generations of people, you know, won't have these.
We'll suffer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll suffer.
I mean, that's very well said. In fact, that's what I've seen with our parents' generation too. So, you know, I feel like I plug in India every time in one of these video casts. But I mean, in India, we do all things, like at least we used to do all things natural. Like you know, my mom still makes her own butter. We pasteurize our own milk. You know, we make our own home remedies, and you know, until we can help it, we try and see if we can treat it at home with natural things. And, you know, you mentioned about a natural toothpaste, you know, until recently, even in our parents' generation, neem, it's a natural herb tree in India. It's actually the solution for all things skin and hair and, you know, like to remove toxins. The bark of the neem tree was actually the toothbrush and toothpaste combined. So the bark has the abrasion. So just... Yeah, people would actually brush their teeth using the bark of neem. And now I'm seeing that a lot of the processing has just begun in India as well. And I'm seeing that that's reversing in US. So I keep thinking that maybe 60 years from now, it will start reversing in India. And I just feel like I wish we could have that happen right now. So with every generation, you see that the resources are depleted and there's fewer resources for the kids to play with or to live with. And whatever you said, it's absolutely right. I don't think it's mutually exclusive, us and the environment. I think we are here because of the environment. I think people forget that. So, very well said. Oh, beautiful. I think we should do a lot of this with you, Sara. I think this has just been such a learning experience. We were spellbound like this once when we did the video cast with Dr. Khan, because he talked to us about a vegan lifestyle and as a cardiologist, what impact it has on your heart and cholesterol. And I have to say, this has been another learning experience. You know, you're not a cardiologist, but you know everything. It's just amazing. And I was just thinking, the way you're talking about toothpaste and lotion, we should definitely do one on, you know, how to do like
the recipe.
Yeah, the recipe, like health and beauty products that we can just do sitting at home, which is so good for your kids and for babies and all of that. I'd love to do. And this has been an amazing episode. And I know you have a lot on your plate, but we would love to do as many of these as possible with you whenever you find time.
Sounds good. Definitely would love that, because I love helping people in this. I love, just helping our world and I just think, I love all the benefits of it. I feel like there's just no downsides. There's only upsides for our individual health, for our communal health, for the world's health.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I can't stop learning from you. It's just amazing. I'm going to put you on speed dial. As much as it scares you, you're going to be on it. I'm sorry. This is amazing. And we always wrap off this show by asking people about just something completely irrelevant to whatever we've discussed so far about, you know, are you binge watching on a particular TV show or something right now? But I wonder if you have the time for something like that.
You watch TV?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I totally do. Well, I love the whole Downton Abbey series, and then we saw the first season of Poldark. We need to catch up with the second season. So I love like the BBC stuff, but Yeah, and then somebody put us on to a show called Turn, which is on AMC on cable, and it was really good. It's so good about it's just historical narrative about the Revolutionary War and the spies that helped the Americans beat the British, basically. So that was really, really good.
Oh.
And then Eric and I really like Shark Tank too. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
So those are our
startup
main
owners for
binges.
sure.
Say it again.
Startup owners for sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. All good shows. I love them all. I'm a big BBC person too. Like Poirot and all of that is my favorite stuff. I'm actually rewatching Poirot right now. So
What are you watching again?
Poirot, Agatha Christie's Poirot.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love those series. They're just so old school, and it takes you back to a time where things were just so simple, and people had so much time for a lot of things. It's nice to kind of, huh?
Oh no, I love it. Yeah, I like period pieces too.
Yeah.
With the kids, we actually watch. This is totally gonna put me in a box, but with the kids, we totally watch the old Little House on the Prairie series. We all love it. Eric actually watched it as a kid with his mother. He won't tell you that, but he did. And he did crush on Laura Ingalls as a kid. Or what's her name? Melissa Gilbert. So anyway, so the kids love it. It's just such a good, wholesome show, and I just love seeing the simplicity of life and the things that were valued with that.
Hey, we're having cameos. Isn't she awesome? Oh my God. We've had 3 cameos.
Yeah.
Kids and finally Russ himself. Amazing. This was amazing. So Sara, we're going to be in touch, and we're always in touch as always, and we will get together again, and you need to train us more. I feel like, I would love to have your tenacity and your zest for life and to want to learn so much. I wish I had all of that. I get tired too easily, I think. But yeah, you've definitely inspired me to add a few more things to my skill set. So this is amazing. We should do more of this, and we love you.
Write a book.
Yeah, you could write a book. For sure.
I know Eric tells me, he's like, you should start a blog. And I'm like, yep. I'm like, but then I could do all the things that I'm doing. I would be, or I'd definitely have to lose something.
Oh, you're amazing. And thank you so much. We've had such a good time. And I just want to let everyone, who's watching this know that it's so nice and inspiring to actually take up gardening, and Grubbable wants to encourage more of you guys, and we want to create a place where it's easy for local farmers and artisans to create a business for themselves and to actually be able to sell everything that they do and make money out of it and help grow the local community and the local economy and help reverse the adverse effects that we have seen on our soil and on our eating habits in the past 60 years and bring it back to the way things were back in the day, the simpler times, the healthier times. So Sara is, I think, the perfect example of how one can get into something like this and how we would like to encourage more of them. So thank you, Sara. We love you. We should do more of this.
Thank you. We love that.
So much.
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.
See ya.
Bye.